May 11th is the day that Shanghai Disneyland will be officially reopening. Big, big news. It is time for magic once again, as the Walt Disney Company has said in its first sort of grand gesture that Shanghai Disneyland will be reopening. There's so much in terms of phased reopening that they are doing here. As they put out, they said, based on the additional measures and procedures, we ask for guests' understanding of and compliance with the following requirements when Shanghai Disneyland reopens. Saying, number one, purchase dated admission tickets for Shanghai Disneyland prior to their arrival, as on-site sales will not be available. Annual pass holders must make a reservation for their visit date and time through Shanghai Disney Resort's official online channels before their visit to the park. During this advanced reservation period, general admission tickets for Shanghai Disneyland will not be accepted. They also say provide basic personal information for each guest visiting the park, including name, phone number, ID type, and ID number via Shanghai Disney Resort's official online channels after purchasing a ticket, and prior to arriving at the resort, and register for the health QR code, which we know is unique to China, prior to their arrival, which will be required to be presented upon entering any location at Shanghai Disney Resort. Only guests with a green health QR code will be allowed to enter the resort. Very interesting to hear those requirements. Tyler, do you think that pushing the return of things, because they've mentioned this several times and they mentioned it in their release here with the return of Shanghai Disneyland, they're pushing things like nighttime spectaculars and parades, and saying that they will get back to those at some other time down the road? Do you think pushing those things down the road will be adopted at domestic parks, maybe not opening with all that entertainment that we have come to know and love?
1,000%. Yeah, that's definitely happening. I don't think there's going to be theater shows for a while. And even going back to Disney Springs for a second, I mean, that Cirque du Soleil show is not going to be happening anytime soon either, unfortunately. The nighttime spectaculars and things, not only do they get a bunch of people together all in one place, but they're also very expensive. And expensive is not a word that Disney wants to hear right now, for obvious reasons. Yeah. So these shows will not be happening for a little time. I think they mentioned that they're going to be doing like their projection show over in Shanghai, and they're going to have like a little cavalcade too. So, you know, it's not to say that all the shows are going to be gone, but they're just going to be much smaller versions so that, you know, people don't congregate quite as much.
Right, there will be at least something to offer, but I can definitely see, much to your point, a lot of entertainment being pushed down the road a bit before it makes its triumphant return. Katrina, they're requiring people to purchase dated tickets, and that's the only way you can enter the park over there. Likely so they can control how many guests, obviously, they can, admit, and they'll be able to control it that way. Can you see something like that being instituted for a place like Disneyland USA? Do you think that's at all possible here?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's like their only way to really try to like maintain like how many people are going to be there. And then they've done it for annual pass holders. Like there's an annual pass where you have to reserve a date to actually get into the park. I just hope that there's going to be consequences to people that don't show up to the park on the day, for annual pass holders anyway. Because the people that buy the daily, is there one?
I don't know if for annual pass holders. I would think there's no refunds on tickets, but I don't know about the annual pass holders.
I understand, because you bought it, you're going to spend $125 for that one day ticket, you're going to show up. But for annual pass holders, I'm scared that they're going to open it up and say you have to have a reservation to get in. Mm-hmm. And then there's just going to be a swarm of locals that are just going to reserve that day and say, hey, if we make it, we make it. If we don't, we don't. And then the people that actually do want to show up can't get a reservation because everybody just took it up. So sure. I hope that there's going to be consequences, at least like a $25 or something, to make people show up if they choose that time.
Well, I wonder if a limited number of reservations could be a thing that they maybe do, like possibly being like, oh yeah, you get 3 reservations this month, and if you don't, and so you wouldn't want to waste it because you would only have your 3, so I don't know. But then that would also make, then you're also paying for an annual pass that you can only use 3 times. Yeah. So it's a tough situation that they're in. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just worried that that's the only issue that I have is with the annual pass holders, because Disneyland USA is, mainly annual pass holders.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm nervous about when they're opening it up to reservations only, and then like, the locals or whoever can get there, I don't know, whatever time they open up those reservations are going to hop on the computer, grab them all, and then the people that actually do want to show up can't. So I hope that they register that.
Yeah, I know Kurt and I have the Flex Pass for Disneyland, and that's something where you do have to make the reservation for the dates that are considered, high capacity days. So you would have to make a reservation ahead of time. So we're already used to doing that. It's a tremendous value this pass. I don't know how it will be anymore, but we already have to do that. And you do get penalized if you don't show up.
Yeah, if you can make, I think, 2 reservations within a 30-day period, and then if you don't show up, I think you can get 2 strikes, is it? If you have 2 no-shows, then you can't make any reservations for a while.
I think it's 2 or 3, but you definitely are playing hardball there. And they don't want anybody to miss their window, and so then they block you, and they put you sort of in that restricted category for a while, and then you've wasted a month. You've wasted a month and you can't go back.
I wasn't aware of that. That is good, and I guess they could probably take that model and put it onto this too. So we'll see. And it seems like they already have that system kind of built a little bit. So hopefully they run it off into this.
And Garrett, those dated tickets, they went on sale Friday, the 8th, and sold out almost immediately. CEO Bob Chapek said in the company earnings call that he believes Disney parks will bounce back faster than anticipated due to pent-up demand. Do you think there's pent-up demand here in the States, and how do you think that'll play out?
I definitely think there is pent-up demand, but I don't think it's enough to bounce back faster than what was projected. People want to go to the parks. You see it across YouTube. You see it from the vloggers and just people going into the site and how Disney's putting out stuff, and people are going to it right away because people need their fix. And since Disney is in a way kind of a drug that people take. And for me, for example, I love Disney like the rest of us. And when people hear that the parks are opening in Shanghai, people are like, it's coming for us. We're going to get our chance. We're going to get there. And people are hugging their computer because they want that opportunity. I could see this going kind of bad with granted, out in Shanghai, it's a lot easier to control that environment via these health QR codes. But out here, we don't have any system like that. So I'm wondering how that will go down, because I can imagine a family of 10 showing up saying like, hey, we want to go to Disney. We don't have a reservation, but we're going into Disney. And it just gets really bad. But there's some kind of pent up excitement, but I don't think it will truly boost profits faster than they project. I'm sure people will go back, but there's also the greater fear that if people go back to Disney, that there's a chance of COVID like spreading again. If there were a vaccine, then I think it would be 0 to 100 really fast, because they don't have as much fear about it, but because there's still the fear of contracting this virus, people are going to be hesitant. But when the parks do open up, I'll buy 8 tickets and I'll somehow make that work.
Excellent. And something that we wanted to touch on is the fact that, both Walt Disney World and Disneyland have pushed reservation windows now out again to July the 1st. And something that we were mentioning in a recent broadcast is that the mayor of Orange County in Florida was mentioning that it's realistic that Disney World could potentially come online in June. The reason he's saying that, obviously, is because government regulations may allow for it, but he's not taking into account that Disney wants to be 100% absolutely confident in their ability to protect and secure their guests, because you can only imagine what would happen if people walked away infected with COVID-19 after a Disney World trip. That's all the bad press that they need to have to shut things down again. They don't want to make that mistake. I think that's very clear that as Disney goes, so does the rest of the economy. I think in this capacity, and Southwest Airlines CEO even recently said, in order for the travel industry to start again, Disney needs to reopen. because they are the flagship leader, and everybody would have that much more comfort and confidence that it's okay to travel again. It's okay to go to big public destinations if Disney were to reopen. So many unanswered questions, so many things to think about as Shanghai Disneyland reopens, and now the domestic parks and their reservation windows are now pushed out to July the 1st. We've seen this happen a couple different times. Who knows how much longer it will be before the United States Disney parks reopen.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.